focus now. Solid state. Once around. It's not a race. I'm taking some. Some took my place. I'll take it back one day. I've been feeling like a king without a crown. My heart is broken. Can you hear it in the sound? Feeling good right now. Contemplate the subtleties, twisting fate. I'm taking some, they took more. That's what it's for. It's okay. I've been feeling like a king without a crown.
Welcome everyone to the non-live show. Actually, we're recording this as Linda and I are both been busy and won't be able to go live on Saturday. So welcome to Live with Linda. Hi Linda, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Gary. You're always making me laugh just before we start doing this, and I have to recompose.
Well, I don't even know how to comment to that.
And it's all good. Here we are. We're going to carry on and we're going to talk about seasonal allergies. How's that today?
Seasonal allergies. Yes. Okay. Well, let's dive into, and I'm sure all of us one time or another has some sort of allergies, and we can kind of dive into, I guess there's some people that don't. I know when I was a kid I didn't, but I do now. So and before we dive right into this, add comments if you wish. As this is recorded, put your comments in. We'll review those and get back to you. But Linda, do you want to dive in a little bit about the nuance of seasonal allergies?
Yeah, so we're just going to talk about seasonal intermittent allergy symptoms that seem to flare up at both the fall and the spring. And it's usually because there is a pool of mold that has accumulated from the season. And also we're now making our way outside and starting to do more things outdoors. And the dust and pollen levels are going to start to go up. And people that are sensitive to these external aggravants or stressors to our body start to really suffer with a variety of symptoms, like the itchy eyes, the runny nose,
Right.
scratchy throats, and you can even have headaches, rashes, stomach aches.
Wow.
Sleeplessness can also be a factor when people are starting to react to this external aggravant is what I'm going to say again, because what we have to do is look at what is our total load already in our bodies that we're dealing with, and then seasonally what happens is we get challenged with this extra load in our environment.
Now, when you say the word load, what does that mean?
Yeah, load. So our bacterial load, our viral load, our mold, personal mold is also potentially higher. We may be carrying or just getting over a virus or a bacterial infection. So our immune system is already challenged,
Right.
and we just can't seem to raise the response with our immune system dealing with these pollens, you could say, that are now going to be drifting around in the air. So it's better to be proactive in this situation than resorting to something to mitigate or improve our symptoms.
Right, right. Oh, interesting. And now, when we were talking just before we started this, you talked about snow mold. Now, I know what that is now. I didn't a few years ago until I had a bunch of it on my lawn. That can affect that also affects us seasonally as well. Then, so um,
Yeah, so it's
is that
just
right?
different stuff in the grass that's been sitting there all winter, or as
Right,
you're digging up the garden. Yeah, you're going to have some more exposure to just the decay and decomposition of everything. So it it has its proteins that start floating around in the air. We inhale those, or they stick to the cornea or the sclera of the eye. So we find it annoying. It's just something more that our body has to deal with. And how we tend to get rid of things is we start washing it away with fluid. So,
mm.
hence the runny eyes and the sneezing and the coughing, because it's actually trying to eject it from our bodies.
Oh,
So, stopping the fluid with an antihistamine is actually suppressing natural symptoms of your body trying to actually get rid of something. So, is it a good idea? Probably not. But
wow.
if you're needing to have those symptoms controlled because you've got to go into a meeting, or you're going to be playing a soccer game or something like that. So short term, you might want to use a pharmaceutical antihistamine, or you can try some of the many natural remedies out there. The problem with that is most people don't take them frequently enough to see the benefit. So when they say, "Oh, I tried that," usually it's because the dosing was too infrequent for the extent of their problem.
Right, right. And so, help me understand. So your load gets up, it, and that's when all of a sudden you feel the symptoms. So does that mean, for those who have it, their load is high?
They're carrying a load.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got to drop their load. Meaning like they've been probably having way too much fun eating lots of chocolate and sugar and carbohydrates over the past few months,
right.
and now they've got a higher mold load in their body, bacterial load, and so their immune system is already challenged. So you can start preparing for the allergy season by cleaning yourself up, do a mini detox, stop eating the sugar.
Yeah,
Um, what else can we do? Drink more water, increase your antioxidants so that your immune system starts functioning better.
right.
All of those things will help you. And it's not about a bigger bloom, too. Nothing makes me want to rip my hair out more when people say, "Oh, it's exceptionally bad this year," but yet they just finished cramming through their income tax. They're stressed to the nines, and I'm talking, these are usually my accountants. They're saying,
Mm,
"Oh, the bloom's really bad this year." Well, no, not really. It's just their stress level through work or dealing with clients actually put them over the edge. So now and then they started compensating with, maybe some alcohol and chocolate and the comfort foods that are not going to help them. But
yeah,
you see, so the stress level is very important in contributing to your overall load, as
yeah.
we're talking about.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I know my accountant just mentioned that. I was talking to her just the other day, and she's just she says I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but she's been putting in like horrendous amount of hours, so I can see what you're referring to. Is there a genetic component to any of this?
Yes and no. So there are some phenotypes. If you were to do your 23andMe, which I will bring to people's attention right now, they are running a 50% discount, I believe, which they haven't run for a while. And then what I encourage people to do is to obtain the fun data, and then send me the raw data. And then we put that through a medical platform that will give us more information about do's and don'ts of food, diet, exercise. What are you predisposed to? What are things you really need to pay attention to? And maybe even some drugs that are beneficial for you when necessary, or ones to avoid. So
Right.
there's a lot of great information that comes from that. And through that platform, and I will be looking into this more diligently right now, because I will be getting people through the door shortly with all these allergic symptoms, and maybe we can investigate that. And if it's not for this season, for another season.
Right. Now, are there some people that have? I mean, I know we're focusing on seasonal allergies, but are there some people that have the same kind of symptoms year round?
Yes. So there can be food sensitivities as well, which we can
Mm,
save for perhaps another time,
sure.
because that could take a lot of our our time today.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is, yes, it can be throughout the year that people have got greater chemical sensitivities, food sensitivities, outright allergies like peanuts or shellfish. So how are those best determined? In the old days, they used to do the scratch test, and that's another thing that makes me rip my hair out. Have I got any hair left? God.
Yeah.
Um, the scratch test is only about 50% accurate. I mean, when you think about it, you want to find out if you are sensitive to raspberry bushes, and raspberry bushes have little thorns on them. And of course, if you scratch yourself in the garden and you get a red mark, that doesn't mean you're allergic to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, you're not going to be sensitive to raspberries, because you used a scratch test approach. I could probably argue that quite well with your immunologist. The best test is probably through blood, and there's blood spot tests, and then there's actually blood draws that we can do to ascertain what your food sensitivities are. But before running off and getting some kind of allergy test and putting money into it, I would highly recommend that you clean up your load, as we've been talking about, and then invest the money in a sensitivity test of some sort.
Would you recommend doing the sensitivity test over the genetic 23andMe test, where you may see if there's a genetic component, or is that a both type of a
It,
thing?
it, it may be a do of both, just
Yeah.
because it's a curiosity, and the more data you can get, sometimes it will help you decipher which approach to go down,
Right.
as opposed to, but either way, cleaning up your load, right,
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, these tests too. I remember when my kids were young, and they went and did the scratch thing, because I had a couple that were really bad with allergies, not super bad like with food allergies, but other ones. They did all the scratch testing and all that stuff, and they still have allergies. They never really came to a solution. So, are there, besides health things that you've already mentioned, are there other things that can people do to try to keep things under control without going to the antihistamines that maybe have other effects to you?
It's yes, definitely, like definitely watching your diet and cleaning up leaky gut. As Again, as a preventative thing, you can use something called a NATE test. There's some people that are trained specifically in this, and it's an actual desensitization process that you go through, so that when you encounter that particular food or an external allergen, that you may not go into a severe reaction. We definitely want to avoid anaphylactic reactions. I still recommend people to have Benadryl liquid available, or one of the EpiPens. in the event that they have that type of a sensitivity. But overall, they need to improve their health by increasing their antioxidants, doing a detox. And we're going to talk about a spring cleanse in a couple of weeks, Gary, and maybe people want to join in. Just like we did the cabbage soup diet, we might get something happening there for everyone to participate in a good spring cleanse. So also, it's unfortunate when people come into me and say that their kids are highly sensitive. It can be because of medications and overuse of antibiotics. It can be post serious illness. And let's face it, everybody's been under a lot of stress and strain,
Yeah.
and that will aggravate the allergy situation in those people. So I empathize with their level of stress in their lives. I will always ask, on a scale of 10, 10 being high, what do you rate your stress level? And many people would like to say 15 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So those people are going to be reacting more strongly to their environment, and parents need to take heed of maybe unspoken or kids just, again, as I mentioned previously, they don't know how to express what they're feeling because they don't know what the words or the vocabulary is, but they could be feeling more stress than we know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to circle back just briefly to the diagnostics of finding out whether a person has, specific allergies or what have you to dust or, the stuff outside when the bloom is out, like you had mentioned. Is and some people use a different term, muscle testing, reflexology. You practice that. Is that a diagnostic method that could be used to isolate whether somebody has certain types of allergies?
Yes, it can be used to ascertain how a person's responding to that particular food item or environmental item. There's no question that can be used. As far as it being accurate, well, I mean, with peanuts, for instance, is it going to be all nuts or is it just going to be peanuts?
All
And
right.
is it in dairy, for instance, if you're testing somebody with dairy, is it going to be the carbohydrate in it, the sugar, in other words, or is it actually protein, casein, or what component is it? And when you
Right.
say eggs, is it egg yolk and egg white?
Yeah.
So muscle testing, yes, there are some devices that can be useful as well to determine food sensitivities and allergies. But again, um, without really working on yourself for a period of probably 2 to 4 weeks prior to doing a test, you're just really wasting your time because many people will react to many healthy items. It's just that they themselves are so inflamed and in an overreactive state. It may appear that they have an allergy, but is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
So it's always about us. It's not about what's out there
Right.
that's causing the issue.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people will react to chocolate, but myself, I do pretty well on Purdy's, but the Cadbury stuff, forget it. Just kidding.
As Easter's past us now.
Oh yes, and we're all going into with chocolate egg withdrawal. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so with again, I know our focus is on seasonal allergies, and I know we kind of talked a little bit about the other. Are there other things about seasonal allergies that we should be aware of? Some people may have symptoms that are, again, goes back to that load you were referring to, have more severe symptoms than others. Some may not even have any. What's the navigation around that kind of stuff? And talking about a family, a mom's got a couple of kids. She's got some that look like they're dying, others not. How do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, well, every kid is going to be getting away with drinking more juice or having more, sweets that are bothersome. Some have more stress, some have more tolerance to what's going on around in the family. You were mentioning earlier that you didn't find yourself being allergic in your younger years. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gary. But it's kind of like as we age, we're carrying a higher and higher mold content if we're not cognizant of getting it down.
Yeah.
And mold does have a role in our bodies. It's there to break us down, but hopefully after we're dead, not while we're still alive. So
Yeah. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
yes, exactly. So the job is to get that mold level down and be cognizant of replenishing our minerals, which are antioxidants as well. So eating the proper foods that give us those
Mm-hmm.
nutrients are really important. People that I have worked with in the past find that if they use something like an eye wash, for instance, if their eyes are really bothered by the air and wearing glasses when they're outside will
Mm-hmm.
reduce their
Mm.
reaction to pollens and so on. So you can
Right.
just get a very neutral, natural tears eye wash and just put it in your eyes before and after you're outside, and it
Right.
will
Yeah.
mitigate that. So that's a short-term fix. Some people think quercetin helps them. Most of the time, it's because people, if it isn't helping, it's usually because the dose is too low. Again, a genotype or a phenotype may not get the benefit of quercetin, and they have to go down another physiological pathway to get a benefit of an antihistamine response in their body. I
Right.
use a lot of natural histamine, histaminum, that is a homeopathic to offer as a antihistamine
Mm-hmm.
in the body, and just knowing when to use it and how to use it gives people an advantage and not have to use pharmaceuticals or chemicals to suppress the symptoms, as I was talking about before.
Yeah.
The body is showing that it's annoyed, so it will cough, it will sneeze, it will produce fluid to try to wash this stuff away. That's a natural process. So um, shutting that down is not a good idea. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. You know that the body is just trying to do what it does to protect itself, and here we are. You know, how often do we block that natural process by taking all of these different drugs or what have you to suppress it, which I'm assuming causes more problems because you're suppressing it, and the body can't relieve itself of that issue, right?
Yeah, and it's complicating it, so, and driving it deeper into the tissues and
Mm-hmm.
cells when you're not allowing them to eliminate. Yeah, it's appreciating more and more that our bodies know or are attempting to heal itself, and
Yeah.
here we're seeing it as an awful symptom.
Yeah.
um, but it really isn't. And we could do another whole session on fever around that. Fever is one of those things that's actually trying to help stimulate our immune cells. So
Oh,
we
and then we
raise
try to knock it
temperature.
down.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah, so someone like myself who goes out and never doesn't really have allergy reactions until I go mow the lawn, which I never used to have, and then my eyes don't bother me, but I you get a runny nose, and I'm sure there's lots of people that go out and mow the lawn or get out in the yard, and they have these symptoms that maybe they never had before but do now. And based on what you just said, we don't want to be taking something to suppress it, but do we just go around and just let it expel like it wants to and deal with it, or what do we do?
Well, drinking lots of water, and that might be the perfect time where all this masking,
Mm-hmm.
the face masks
Wear
would have
them.
been helpful.
Ah,
Yes. So wearing, safety glasses and a mask will help with that type of inhalant, so that it will not annoy you quite so much.
I'll have to
And
try that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
mhm. It's the
Yeah.
same when all the smokes and the smoke from the forest fires. I had a lot of people that were reacting to that as a sensitivity to their lungs
And
and
we
their
may get that
eyes.
again this year too. Who knows
Who
what
knows?
what it holds for forest fires and stuff like that. So we may get that. And speaking of that, are there things that a person should prepare for if they've been in that where the smoke has been thick and they've suffered, and maybe didn't know what to do other than suffer, are there things that they can do for that type of a
There
reaction?
are there are lung cleansers that are in a tonic form or homeopathic form that will help the lung tissue, which is very, very tender and sensitive, recover and expel any of that debris that they've inhaled.
Hmm.
So you can minimize, again, your exposure is always the best thing,
Yeah.
but once once your body has been through an ordeal like that, unbeknownst to you, like if you're out middle golfing or hiking or something, and then this cloud comes through and you're caught in it, then at the end of the day, yes, you should
Yeah.
probably take something to just help clear those cells. And I'm sure otherwise your body will be doing it, and that's by coughing.
Yeah. And if
Hmm.
and if I guess if you're suffering, a little more sensitive to the smoke, like you said, stay indoors. Um,
As
as
much as
much
we
as you
don't want to
can.
do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've been doing that for a couple of years now. So yeah, but you're right. It's a matter of, I guess, diagnosing your own, what works for you, and if you do suffer because these things do come up, I highly recommend you get a hold of Linda and book an appointment so that you can find out what's the best going to be the best treatment for whatever it is, wherever this is coming from. Because sometimes you take those, especially after what you said about those suppressants, those things that suppress it, and the body it drives it deeper. Who wants that, right?
That's right. And probiotics aren't necessarily the answer to everything. I mean, you could try to outnumber some of the bad bacteria and mold in your own body by taking more expensive probiotics, but you actually need to eliminate and kill off by starving the not so nice bacteria in your body. You just can't outnumber them with the good probiotics. That's not the only solution. And um, this year, I think people will need more adrenal support. So, ashwagandha or some other adaptogens, ginseng, B complex, the vitamin C's, all of those will support your adrenals. And if you need a specialized formula, then come in and we'll talk about what we can do to take you forward and build you up so that next season and this season you have some tools that you can use straight away.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's really good advice. Thank you so much. Is there any final comments before we wrap up?
No, I think we're catching this one ahead ahead of the game. Hopefully, people are going to see this before the season is full on for them.
Yeah.
But I think we've touched on it, and I've said what I needed to say for most people to have a better allergy season this year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing of it is like in Alberta here, you never know what you're going to get, and so we're going right from winter to well, who knows? It could be summer. That shift is so. Most people in April going into May, they're dealing with it already. Well, we're just coming into it for us. The season for the allergies, the snow just finally is
Thank
gone
goodness.
for at least for the next foreseeable future, but we'll wait and see. Anyways, thank you so much, Linda. This has been very informative. We sure appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below, and then we'll respond. Thank you, Linda. We'll get ready for next week, and we'll see what kind of topic we come up with.
That's right.
All right,
Thanks,
everyone.
Gary.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. All the best. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
All right, finish and record.